now that you say it, I agree with you that that is exploring the reality of the self and the question of control. It's different exploration. It's different question, different ways to approach it. Even if, of course, they are very deeply intertwined. They're really linked in some way.
I
Yeah.
think, Paul, you've also raised my 54 pages of questions on the forum because you were saying to me, when I was going through that process, for Christ's sake, and you're right. I'd seen through self probably within the first few weeks. I mean, I got it that there was nobody there wasn't anything here making the choices, making the decisions, but there was still this something saying, no, there really feels like there's something here that's making these decisions, doing it, even though I can't find it. And I was
It's
struggling with that.
pervasive. It's
Yeah.
pervasive. That's what I call it.
Hmm?
It's a very strong feeling that you still, it's stronger than the feeling of self and sometimes, many times. It just adds a, you know, and I think, playing around with it in the guiding is good, but I just think it should be less emphasized as far as someone getting confirmed or not. It just doesn't seem like it should be that big a totem pole to climb.
Because when you get into the fetters, you're actually moving on to sort of 6, 7, 8,
Right.
with those sorts of feelings, so as you say, much further up the totem pole. Yeah.
Yeah. If the Federer model is a good model or as good as there is for dealing with that aftermarket stuff, for lack of a better word.
I just want to name that there is systems that incorporate control in the process, which they go the completely opposite way. They say you're in control of everything, and you just take away of the controller and the responsibility. You're in control of everything, and you are responsible of everything. And it's just another way to approach this process, and it's not wrong. It's just different. So I think we just have to be aware of where people come from and what we can do to be the more useful.
I'd just like to mention for everybody who's just turned up that you're seeing the end of a guide training group here, and there was a fair bit of excitement about what was being discussed. Um, so if it doesn't make any sense to you, that's why. That's what it was about. Yeah. So welcome everybody. We've got a couple of new faces here today, a couple of newish faces. Yeah. So just to clarify for those who haven't heard it before, there are no rules here. You jump in, you don't need to ask permission to say something. If you've got an opinion, or if you've got something to say or something to contribute, just throw it in. And if we talk over each other, that gets sorted out by itself pretty quickly. Uh, anyway, anything goes, everything goes. So get into it. And don't wait if it gets quiet and nobody's saying anything, after a while I'll start picking on people. But otherwise, but don't wait for that. You jump in with something if you've got a question or an issue or something. Bring it up, bring it on.
I'll jump in, Vince. I've got a question. Dennis, how did the consequences go this week?
Um, One second, sorry. Um, I think Jamie, I got distracted with other stuff. Um, Yeah, it doesn't feel relevant right now. It's more like consequences of what?
Hmm?
Um, in just sitting in this space of this. So dare I say, right now, there's no problems.
Shall we look and see if we can find one?
You can look and see if you can find your own problem, but you won't find mine.
Very good. Uh, so who's sitting there, Dennis? Who's sitting there that might or might not have a problem? I mean, I'm serious. I mean, or should I say, what is sitting there? Who is sitting there? What is sitting there? Is there a self? Is the label Dennis attached to anything other than a body? Or as my friend Panilla says, a meat suit?
Um, I mean, I'd say I'm sitting here, and I don't attach a heaviness to the eye.
So to be clear, is when you say I'm sitting there, is that just a grammatical construction for the sake of communication, or is there an attachment to something?
Exactly, the first one.
Right. Okay. Good. Sounds great. Yeah. So where are you up to with this stuff, Deborah?
Um, what stuff?
Good question. Yeah. Hmm. Well, all right, let's rephrase that. Why are you here?
Um, I think I'm here because um, of what I think the topic of responsibility. It's a hard nut for me to chew on. I think what I'm realizing, I think it's just a bigger topic in my life. So in there, I'm like logically it makes sense, but yeah, it's not an easy one for me to work on. So what am I responsible for, even when there's no me, but still has this feeling of responsibility, which is difficult to let go of.
Hmm. I can see Paul is jumping out of his skin to talk to you about that one.
No, not really. It's just funny
Yeah.
that she just brings this up. We just 4 or 5 minutes ago were discussing this about responsibility. Um, One thing. All right. So as long as I'm talking, uh, Deborah, is that it? Let's say, let me give you a simple example. Let's say you open the refrigerator and you see there's no milk, and then you say, I'm going to go to the store and get some milk. Now, when you make that statement, I'm going to store to get some milk, is that when the decision is made?
No, not really. I think that's
When was it
just
made?
it's just I think it's a process. I'm not sure there was an exact point, but the whole process of like wanting like in general like wanting to have milk in the house and then seeing that there's not milk. Don't think there's like one spot.
Right. So you're saying I'm going to the store to get some milk is not the decision, is it? So it's just something that happened, isn't? And if you were to think, well, I'm going to the store to get some milk, that statement is the decision, it would give you a sense of agency, wouldn't it? Like you were doing something.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I agree. Yes.
So during your day, a good exercise, which I used to give people, is when you think you've made a decision, just stop for a moment and just look back, even it might be just momentarily before, and find that that thing was inevitable. Whatever your announcement was, I'm going to the bank, I'm going to the bank. And a moment before you looked over at your desk and you saw a stack of bills and you saw maybe some checks that need to be deposited. So at that moment, it was inevitable that going to the bank was going to have to happen. So the announcement is really hollow, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just a communication with myself, with the world.
Right. Just as an exercise, go through your day. You might even
Mm.
put something, maybe a rubber band on your hand to kind of catch yourself during the day and just look at decisions. Because that's where control comes from, is many people just think that the announcement is the decision. And it really isn't. There's just a process going on. It's been going on your whole life. And when you get confused that the announcement is the decision, that's where that pervasive sense of agency is what I call it is. So just look throughout your day and just see how automatic things are happening and how processes just life comes at you and you react, and it's just a process that goes on, and there's really no place for the announcer in that whole process. Okay.
But I need to jump in here, and I suspect that we've missed the point of responsibility. We would, so, Deborah, tell us what you feel being responsible is. Now, what you feel being responsible is, not an intellectual answer. What's your feeling about being responsible?
Um, like duty, it seems to me like a duty. Like I have to be responsible. Like it's like a fact of living. It's like a burden almost.
Right. So there's a morality involved in that.
I think so.
And this comes from where? How is this established? This sense of requirement.
Mm, or probably something through my like educated through social norms, what I learned growing up.
Right. So you could imagine if you grew up in a tribe in the Amazon, or maybe any of the minority groups in the world, that you might have a different idea about what you were responsible for. That what you have learned is very much in line with the society that you grew up in. Would that be true?
Yeah. Yes.
Or maybe the word culture is better. The
hmm
cult that you've been educated to Yeah. But they very successfully instill that in you because it's something that you feel quite deeply about, eh?
The connection was just lost.
Uh,
So
can you hear me now?
yes, I can hear you now. You're back.
Yes. I say that that's been very successfully instilled in you. That is felt very deeply, that sense of
Yeah.
right and wrong. Sense of right and wrong involved with responsibility?
Yeah, kind of, yeah, fulfilling, not fulfilling. So in that sense, it's a right or wrong. Yeah.
So you can clearly see from what your answers, it seems to me that you can clearly see where it came from and what it exists as, yet you still have, it still has hooks in you.
Mhm.
So let's separate out another thing. Let's separate out consequences. There are consequences to actions, to
Mhm.
behavior. Now, are they are those consequences tied to responsibility in any other than a theoretical way?
Mm, no, just, I mean, I guess emotionally it can be tied, but no. Responsibility is more like, yeah, the moral, emotional layer added on top of it.
Mm, mm. So if if you were to say responsibility is a social construct, it is a concept, just ideas, would that mean that you're going to behave irresponsibly and that you're going to ignore the consequences of your actions? Or would you still be a moral person even though you no longer had responsibility?
I guess it's possible to like have that view, but then act in moral ways without feeling trapped in it, because you can see through it.
Hmm.
I guess, yeah.
Hello, Deborah. And aren't morals just another thought construction?
Probably they are, yes. I think so. Yeah.
And you said that you could link the things emotionally, like the responsibilities and the consequences. But the word that brought up for me was fear. Oh, I think we've lost her again.
Shitty internet can be pretty frustrating, can't it? I imagine she'll be back. Yeah.
You've frightened her off.
Oh, here we are. He's back.
Got kicked
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. So has in the last few minutes, have your ideas? No, no. Let's come back. Have your feelings about responsibility changed?
A bit, yes. I think I can see it. It feels less solid in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting topic of discussion that we call this waking up or liberation. And the word liberation for me evokes the idea that I am no longer compelled by my jailer, society or culture, to behave in a certain way. That doesn't mean that I ignore consequences. It does not mean that I won't still behave in a socially acceptable way. It just means that I am no longer compelled to behave in a socially acceptable way. Does that make sense for you?
Yeah, yeah. Very much captures freedom. Yeah,
Yeah.
does make sense.
Well, that was easy. Good on you.
Thank you.
It's certainly you can continue to explore those things. They go deep. They do go deep, and it's good value. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good thing to keep observing in little interactions throughout the day. Yeah.
Yeah. And life will do that. See, although you now have a different um, perspective on those things, habits will still appear. You will still find that you will get an emotional response to certain situations, which are the old way of things working. And when that happens, you will see it because you're no longer captive by it, and you will see that you're responding in a habitual way to something, and that seeing will just remove the hooks. That seeing will be enough for you to get free of the compulsive aspect of it.
Yeah, that space which allows to not react, but to act in a sense.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Perfectly well put. I like that. Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks.
Mm. I'm inclined to pick on the new faces here. Tell us how you're going, Sean. What are you up to?
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Lovely. So basically, I've just been doing this for about 18 months, and I found, you mentioned earlier, Neil's awakening curriculum.
All right. Yep.
And I saw the videos, sort of been going through that and found that quite useful. Found Liberation Unleashed as well, which is really, and it's quite not turbocharged, but it's really brought my sort of um, process along quite well. And I'm at the point now where I think Deborah just mentioned it, the sort of that neutral space. I'm kind of finding it quite easy to get into that space now after all this time. So just now my sort of where my head has been for the last couple of weeks is just trying to get around that, and then I don't know how you describe it, but basically get through that neutral space into the you know to the point of liberation, or however you want to put it, awakening. So that's basically where I'm at. Yeah.
So tell me how what do you expect? What do you think it'll be like when you're there?
I think uh, I think it'll be. I won't. Uh, Basically, I won't be. I won't have my thoughts control me. So, or, when the thought comes up, I won't identify with it. I think that's the main thing what I'm expecting from it. But that's only from what I've obviously heard people say about and stuff. I'm not. Yeah, that would be my main expectation. Yes.
So can you describe for us how thoughts control you now?
It's just
How do
when
you
they come up.
identify?
It's just sometimes when you're not concentrating, you're doing something, and then a thought will come up, and then you'll just find yourself. I mean, obviously you get better and better and better at being able to stop it, but you'll still find yourself 30 seconds into a thought, and then it leading on to another thought, and things like that. So and there's also some little thoughts that I keep noticing that are, especially now, especially with sort of distractions, picking up your phone and stuff. Like there's little thoughts, just don't worry about that. Just pick up your phone. You don't have to worry about like self-inquiry or whatever else. Just have a rest. Those sort of thoughts. Noticing those more and more, which really, really is helpful, I think. Yeah.
So what do you imagine you're distracting from when you do that kind of thing, when you pick up your phone or other behaviors?
I think just I think there's a fear. There's a fear there of pushing further. Yeah.
Right. So a fear of, when you say pushing further, you mean going deeper? You mean looking?
Yeah, looking deeper and seeing what's there. I think that's
right. So you that fear suggests that there's something there that you don't want to see.
Yeah. I think there is still a bit of trepidation about the whole thing because, like I said, I have an idea in my head, but I have no idea whether that's right or not about what the future holds.
Okay, but that fear is that something you experience or something you imagine is there? Do you experience a sensation that you call fear?
It's more just wanting to turn off rather than having to face the fear, I would say.
Right.
Wanting to just turn away from it rather than actually going to see further in. And I think, yeah, that's what I'm finding at them.
So tell me the first thing that comes to mind. What do you imagine you're going to find if you did go in there? First thing that comes to mind.
Loss of control.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a big one, isn't it? Loss of control. Right. So your part of you how can I put this? Part of you gets value out of believing that you're in control. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely.
So, how conscious were you when you walked across the room and sat down in that chair? Did you have any control over that, or did that just happen?
Well, that just happened. Yeah.
I always find it really interesting that people who believe they have control have this paradox where they believe they have control, but they recognize that a lot of the time they have no control. How frequently do you intend to do something that doesn't actually happen?
Yeah, I mean an awful lot, and I think there's but I think there's part of my brain that says yes, I don't really have any control over anything. Logic that but then there's part of
Logically,
I think there's well, I understand it from reading the books and stuff.
but you also
from an
experience
actual,
it, do you not? Do you experience that?
yes,
that you don't
Yeah,
have
yeah,
control about a lot of things?
yeah. But then there's I think my mind's telling me that, oh no, you still need to have control.
Right.
Yeah, that's
But okay, so here you are. Let's imagine a fantasy. Let's put you in the audience at a magician's show, and that magician is sawing a woman in half. Okay, you see
yep,
it. All of your senses are telling you that he's sawing a woman in half. But nobody in the
yep,
audience, including you, is calling an ambulance or jumping up and saying stop, are they?
no,
Right?
no,
Your senses, though, are telling you that he's actually sawing a woman in half. You believe
yeah,
that your senses are telling you that, but your
yep,
mind is saying that's not actually the case. And you're quite comfortable with that.
yep,
So when your mind tells you that you're not actually in control, you're not comfortable with that, are you?
yeah,
Isn't that interesting?
mm, yep,
Yeah, so the consequences of believing that you're in control are really what we're talking about. Not the actual
yep,
act of it, but the consequences of
yeah,
it.
yep, yeah. So
Isn't that a bit like masturbating? Isn't that just a way of making yourself feel good?
yeah, yeah.
But it happens.
So
That's it. That's the reality, isn't it? It
yeah,
happens.
mm,
You
mm,
you need that to feel okay. So
yep,
the idea of not having control actually evokes something much deeper, much more fundamental. That fear is way beyond anything that the mind can have any impact on, eh?
mm,
And so yes, so you have to divert away from seeing the reality of that. You know you're fooling yourself, but yet you have to
mm,
keep doing it. It's a
mm,
compulsion. That's
yep,
interesting, isn't it?
mm,
Yeah.
yep, yeah. So suppose I just have to look into that further.
Well, you won't be able to. You'll keep picking up your phone, won't you?
Yeah, we'll just let it go.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's interesting how we divert. You know, we divert with our mind is one way. Our thinking, our thoughts. You know, we get lost in some fantasy of some kind, or we start getting active. We do things. You know, we pick up our phone as one thing, or we'll go and do a job, or we'll have to go to the toilet or something. We'll
Mm,
divert by activity. So these are really common things, and it's a common, we all do it. Everybody does it. You know,
mm,
we divert away from the experience of discomfort. And sometimes even before we feel the discomfort, we do it. We divert away from it, the expectation that it will get uncomfortable. Okay.
yeah,
So when those now when you if you get lost in your thoughts, in emotions that you're responding to your thoughts and you're experiencing emotion, sooner or later now, because of what you've been through, because of what you've already discovered,
mm,
you will recognize that you've been lost in thoughts, right? Does that happen
yeah,
for you? Yeah.
yes, yeah,
So it's a good thing to say. Inevitably, you will come out of that state when it happens. When you pick up the phone, at some point you'll go, I was diverting when you picked
mm,
up your phone, right? It wasn't
yeah,
because you needed to do something on the phone. It was because that what you might call entertainment was a way of getting
mm,
away from that expectation of getting into an uncomfortable place.
mm,
When let's label all of that stuff as diversion.
Yeah.
When diversion happens and recognition of diversion happens, there's two possibilities that come to mind that can be. One is that it's just a habitual response. It's something that you've done for so long that it just happens automatically, and that there's nothing really big down there underneath the discomfort. There's no real serious pain or suffering down there, but it's just that you habitually got into the act of avoiding even the slightest discomfort. If that's the case, simply seeing that you were doing it is enough to break that. You see the fact that you were diverting, and let's get out of that habit of diverting, right? And the way to do that, the quickest way that I know of to do that is when you recognize that you were diverting, what you do is you laugh. You have a big
Right.
chuckle.
Okay.
You can fake it if you like to
Yeah.
start with. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If it's appropriate. If
Yeah.
it's not, just smile
Yeah.
inwardly. Whatever. And what that will do is that will break the habit. You will very quickly develop new pathways in the brain, and the old pathways will fall into disuse. So in a matter of a few weeks, those habits won't be there anymore. Right?
Right.
The second one is that there is something pretty serious down there that you're avoiding going there. That's something that we call it shadow work. That down there is you learned as a young child that you better not go there, otherwise it's going to be pretty painful. And so consequently, if that is the case, then some deeper work needs to happen. But you got to find out which one it is, and most likely, and the most common one is just a habit. So my suggestion to you is every time you catch yourself diverting, have a chuckle, have a laugh, and what that does is it floods the body with feel-good hormones and gets rid of the hormones that were there, that the stress hormones that came as a result of the expectation of the discomfort. So it's a good way to play with that. So that'll be my suggestion. Spend a couple of weeks doing that to find out whether it's just habit or whether it's something a bit deeper. Yeah.
Right. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Thanks. I'll work on that.
Yeah. Good one.
Cheers.
I want to add something to this because I hear a lot this distraction, right? But I think I'm feeling a ton of kind of rejection, right, of all negativity, with this I'm distracted, like it's bad, like I have to stop, like it's bad behaviors, like some kind of judgment around it. And I think it's important to remove the guilt of those habits of distraction and the judgment. And one way you can do this is to be gentle. We have to be gentle with our systems, because we develop all of these habits for survival, for physical or emotional survival. And one image that we can have is when you see a child of 3 or 4 years old, which take one of his teddy bear because he have emotions, would you go to that child, take away his teddy bear and say, stop distracting yourself? The teddy bear is nothing, just feel the emotion, feel the emotion, feel them. No, it's just too much, To just recognize that for this child, his system, his body, his nervous system, his brain, all of his system cannot handle emotions. So he needs something to go through them. And you just, okay, well, then that's where he is. And we are all children with emotion. And we all have behavior, pattern, habit of instruction that can be very sophisticated or very basic, but it doesn't matter. The most you approach yourself with gentleness and with amability and tenderness, the more softer it will go. Because your system needs the teddy bear. And the mobile phone, the beer, the sex, movies, or whatever, sports, is your teddy bear at the moment. And don't judge yourself for that, because it's how your system is built in the moment. And with this in mind, you can do everything that Vince said, just from a space of understanding and acceptation of how your system is at the moment. I think it can be very useful.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, be gentle. Always be gentle with yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we are here, like almost hitting ourselves because we did bad behavior, because we watch movie, because I masturbate, because this, because whatever. But there's just there is no need of this judgment on top of the difficulty that we are all going through in human life. Hope it's useful.
Yeah, thank you very much, David. That's really good. Yeah, good point.
Where are you up to, Xander?
That is a good question. Here, there's sensation in the body, and I really like the exercise you gave to Deborah, looking at like what happens right before the thought that claims being or choice. Like I've recognized, like after a thought, I can step back and detach from that and see that it never, I didn't think it wasn't me, but this was able to see it almost in real time, that it showed up without anything that I was aware of creating the intention to show up.
So how would you like that to change?
I don't have any opinion. The thing I guess is to more ease in the resistance so that the resistance can ease.
So tell me about this resistance. How do you experience that resistance?
I guess the interpretation is the sensation in the body is the story, I guess, is that it's resistance and shouldn't be there, but that doesn't seem to be anything other than a story,
But you
because
feel
it is
something.
here.
Did you say
Yeah,
you
well,
felt yeah?
there's sensation, sure.
Hmm. But you see a connection between the story and the sensation.
A habit of wanting to connect those two, and it's if I can drop the story from the sensation, then it's just sensation, and in that it seems to relax. So if anything were desire to change, it's just the habit of assuming control or identity, or that anything is even momentarily wrong, could lessen. But even that's actually
Yeah.
okay.
So when you say the habit of that, how how mm, how alive is that word habit? Do you really, does that really ring a truth bell for you that it's habit?
No, it's just the word that seems to point to
Okay.
the continued happening.
Yeah. So what is the alive hook for that to continue happening? What does it feel like for you?
The sensation, or like the wanting the sensation to be different, or what? I'm not sure what the live hook is.
Yeah, okay. Now, well, it's when you say the wanting for it to be different, that's obviously a story to start
Yeah,
with. There are feeling components to that, of course. But then behind that is another story that says it should be different.
yeah, yeah.
And behind that is
That's
another story that says there are alternatives to what is there. Not that it should be different, but that it could be different.
right. Yeah, that it could be
Right? So
other
we
than
got
it is.
stories behind stories behind stories.
Yeah.
How far back do we go? So are these the things that you think should be different? Could be different? You would like to be different?
It doesn't seem like they could be different. They happened, ergo, they are.
Yeah.
There's threads of the possibility of resistance, or like a framework of some resistance, something to be done. But when I look at them, they dissolve.
Yeah, okay. You keep saying this word resistance, and I always get a feeling of contraction, a feeling of tightness, a feeling of obstruction when you say that word. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So what is that resisting? Is it blocking something,
Yes.
or is it
Yeah.
holding back something, or is it stopping something from happening?
It seems to be like a bracing, and it's hard to feel into, but there's the contraction is definitely more on point, and an avoidance, preventing something from happening or some experience from arising.
Hmm. So yeah, so good. So that you see it as a prevention, an act of prevention.
Yeah, it really viscerally feels like a tightening in preparation to be hit.
Yeah, okay. Good. Right. So what are you bracing against? What are you bracing? What is the possible event that you're bracing for?
Yeah.
What comes to mind? First thing that comes to mind. Don't think about it too much. Just
Humiliation,
humiliation. Right. I love that
being
word.
outcast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Being othered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So humiliation says how you present yourself is really important. How others see you. Is that a too big a jump?
Seems not connected but it has historically. It's been very, very, very much more so. There does, like in large groups like this, there is a bracing quality
Yeah.
and it seems, even though, yeah, that something around humiliation seems alive, but I can't connect to identity through it or self-image.
Mm. But you're very, I mean, your hair is perfectly done. Your beard is perfectly trimmed. You know,
Oh,
you're,
are
you're,
you sure?
you,
Just looks
you,
that way,
you,
Chris.
you present as somebody who's taken a lot of care with your appearance.
Hmm.
That's just to me. I don't know. I mean, I might be wrong about that, but that's a thought. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I mean, so let's go back again to humiliation. What is humiliation? If you were to be humiliated,
Yeah.
that feels pretty bad, eh? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's like I'm being piled on, like the whole world is just like tearing me to bits.
Right. Mm.
Uh like I'm being, yeah. Hmm.
Vince, I have some questions.
Yeah, go jump
Hello,
in.
Xander. Hi,
Hey
Xander.
James.
Um, you reminded me of a quote that says, "Life is full of pain and humiliation, most of which never actually happens." So I know when I've suffered from embarrassment and humiliation, nothing
Hmm.
actually happened, but it was all this internal stories and things, the cheeks burn, oh my God, I want to run away. This is terrible. But then you said you couldn't find a link between, was it humiliation and self identity? Did I get that right? You said something like that.
Yeah.
But how can how can you feel humiliation if there's no self identity?
Um it's like I'm tuning into a visceral sense of something in this system that there isn't really identity in and nonetheless is playing out.
Okay, try this. Well, actually, I'll tell you my story and see if it applies for you. Yeah, my story is going to have the word overwhelming in it, but you can put the word humiliation. Yeah. Sorry to bore the other people who've heard this story before, but there was one particular day I was feeling overwhelmed, and overwhelmed is a label. Yeah. So you peel the post-it note off. What have you got? I've got a tightness in the head, a heaviness in the chest, pressure in the hands. Peel those post-it notes off. What have you got? Yeah. So rather than going through the whole process, but you just keep going through that. Yeah. And then you end up back at direct experience. And that's what it is. Whether it was something you saw, seeing happened, touching happens, whatever. So I don't know if you'll be able to do it because when something's really raw, it's hard. But if you ever feel humiliation or feel it coming up, take the post-it note off and look at the heat in the cheeks. If you feel that, the pressure in the chest, and just keep peeling it back. And I suspect, and this is my story, that you won't find anything there.
Totally. It seems like a ghost of humiliation in the system.
Great.
Like I'm not identified with the contraction, but it's here. And there are parts in awareness that don't want it to be here. And then I can step into just awareness, aware of it, and there's nothing happening. But there's interpretation of sensation and recognition of different movements.
Okay. So do all those things that happen, do they feel as though they control what you do next? What I mean by that, as an example, is if I felt humiliated, the one thing I want to do is run out of the room. Yeah. Now, if I can
Yeah,
sit there like you say you do and work through it and just go, okay, it's just the sensations, then as far as I'm concerned, you've nailed it. But if the humiliation makes you do something different at work, not talk to someone, is that what happens?
not anymore, but it certainly used to. And there's like there's a thing I'm gonna go to after this where there's probably somebody who's gonna show up who likes to leave or feel uncomfortable when I'm around them, and I've been avoiding them. And so there's this I'm confronting that, and there's some contraction in the system at the thought of that, a desire to not do that, and it's gonna happen anyway, assuming I have a choice.
Well, you don't have a choice, but it feels like you do, yeah?
Not really, but there's just like a post hoc assumption that when I look isn't true. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen, but at this point, it seems like that's what I'm going to do. And we'll see if they show up and we'll see what happens.
Good luck.
Thanks, James.
Being curious is really valuable stuff. Yeah. So being open as you are to what might happen, yeah, and maybe give a little bit more recognition to the expectations of what could happen as just stories that are there, and that kind of leaves you a little bit more open to, yeah.
Yeah, I
And
think
I was just going to say, getting in touch with the more subtle feelings also opens up more possibilities as well. Yeah.
yeah, I think I've been
Sorry.
avoiding curiosity in what might happen. Like, so I see like the system going into some reaction, and then I just like detach from it. But like I like what you're pointing to is like actually see the story that probably happened at some lower level of my psyche, let it show up, and then like be curious about it instead of just like,
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And that reveals stuff, that we just habitually avoid, and because of
yeah,
our expectations, and that can change all sorts of things. Yeah.
yeah, the story that I will be torn to bits has been very alive, and now that I name it, it seems absurd, but it has
Yeah.
been there
That's
viscerally.
yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Mm. Mm.
Thank
Mm.
you.
You're welcome. David, David, I've been looking forward to you. I just wanted to hear more about what's happening for you. That seems like a big thing.
Yeah. Uh, as I apologize for my,
No
I don't
worries.
know,
Don't worry about that. That's fine.
carelessness, but
Mm.
I'm just going through a lot of emotions. Last couple of weeks has been just pure rage at everything. Uh, I don't, I'm not, I don't think I'm worried about acting out on it or anything, but it's
Hmm.
just churning away in my mind when I'm outside in public with people. And then that's in contrast to just, I can't, I guess the word is joy.
Yeah.
I've been returned to listening to music, and that has always been a trigger for me for emotion. So I've been doing a lot of crying. And it's not out of sadness. It's I don't know, can it be out of joy? I
Yeah.
guess. Uh, uh,
So it's like you've taken the lid off, and
yeah,
there's nothing's being held down anymore, eh?
yeah,
So the full range of stuff from crying with joy to sheer anger and sadness, all of that stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And none of it. I'm not. I don't feel worried about any of it. I'm sort of. I'm enjoying it,
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Does
and I
it
don't
does
think
it does it
that.
feel like it will go on forever to you?
I have no idea. I don't even think about it.
Good. Good.
Uh, it'll just whatever's going to happen is going to happen.
Right. Yeah.
Sort of. It's all sort of. Maybe the senses of things are taking care of themselves, and I don't. I don't need to try to anymore.
Hmm. Good one.
Uh,
Yeah.
sounds that sounds better than I think is actually what's happening, but I like the idea.
Yeah. 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 I get it. Yeah.
I think I'm. I feel sort of. I feel sort of lost and not knowing where to go. from here, or it's not where to go. I have no idea. It's like, what do I do now? I really think that meditation would be helpful. I do very well meditating in motion. I do it all the time, every day. But sitting meditation is like anathema to my. I'm afraid I'm going to scream. I get antsy. I was definitely attention deficit as a kid, hyperactive. I think I'm still a kid. Maybe that's what I just need to do, is just sit with it. But it's like I'm not trying to solve a problem. I'm not trying to find a solution to something. I don't know. I think that's why I came back here. I don't know what to do. Or that there's anything I should be doing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you get the feeling that this stuff that's coming out is stuff that's been, how can I put it? That before it was stuff that you didn't allow out, and now it's all happening, that's coming out?
I suppose rationally, I think that's what it is. I'm just sort of bewildered by what's happening. And as I say, it's all positive as far as I'm concerned. I'm sort of enjoying.
Yeah. I would agree. It seems positive to me. Yeah. So it's the end of repression, would you say?
Yeah.
Is that too big a?
Oh, well, not the end of repression, but it's certainly opening the door.
Yes. Yeah.
If I start thinking about if I open the door all the way, that might frighten me a little bit. So I don't think I'll do that. I'll just let.
So do you feel like you're controlling how much is coming out? No. So opening the door completely is an idea. It's actually already fully open, eh?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah, it doesn't mean that what's there now is going to remain there, but whatever now is there now that's just what is. Seems right.
Yeah. So it's pretty clear that there's no self in there controlling anything.
That's what it feels like is not there for the first time, and maybe that's why I'm a little bewildered, because there's no sort of homunculus in there driving me.
Yeah. That could be a little scary for sure. Yeah. No, I feel good about it. It feels to me like it's absolutely appropriate that. I mean, that's me. You see, I emote easily. Stuff comes out of me in both directions really quickly and easily. So, I have to say, if I see that in somebody else, it's got to be a good thing, because it feels good to me when I do it. Yeah.
But it doesn't get you in trouble, does it? I mean, it's not. I don't think I'm going nuts or losing control. I think I'm just opening up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, mine could get me into trouble. It depends, Sometimes I do it in public as well. So yeah, it could.
Yeah.
It could, but who cares? I don't care.
Who cares? Yeah. It does concern me a little bit about work, but I'm sure I've been doing it so long that I'm not gonna.
Yeah. There are consequences, of course. There are consequences to it. Yeah. But let me tell you too, it will settle down. It will settle down. If it's kind of recent that it started, right? It'll run its course, and although it will be, I imagine, and I don't really know, of course, I'm just imagining this, but it will always be part of your character, your personality that you. I mean, this is one of the things that happens when we wake up. We experience a full range of human emotions. We no longer have lids on things because of how we should be. We're no longer in jail, so to speak. We liberated from that kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
When I hear you say it, I hear you say it, and that's a little bit frightening. But from here, I mean, bring it on.
Yeah. Good on you. Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking about. So I have always followed. I'm always reading this stuff. I've been doing it for 40 years now. One of my resources is Rupert Spira, and I wonder about I wonder about a sort of a meditation of just stopping thinking. I know you can't do it and you shouldn't, but the idea of I've still got this the screaming memes, the oh look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. And it's tiring.
Sure, absolutely.
I want to get past it. I don't know. So I don't know how. Except wait it out.
Well, further investigation is always helpful with that kind of stuff. Yeah, I must say I'm not a fan of Rupert. His non-duality stuff is a little bit religious in my mind. It requires faith and belief, right? Whereas I'm much more inclined to say let's get rid of the reason why we feel there's a self there, rather than just do it, by faith kind of thing. But that's my personal thing. But he certainly does a lot of good stuff. That's for sure. Yeah.
A lot of good information. A lot of good information. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. If when you make a statement like you say something along the lines of I still feel these things or think these things, right? Then that says, okay, there's something you can look at, something you can investigate, right? Right. What is this I that's doing that thing? Where does the compulsion or the inclination to be different come from? What's that about? That kind of thing is there's always, we just have to open our mouth and out will come some words that reveal something about what's going on for us. And it happens all the time. Life will do that. Life offers all the time. When we react to things, that will tell us something, to give us something to look at. Why do we, what's, not why do we, but what is the reaction? What is it about? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
there's much more of that going on for me, which is just being aware of how I'm reacting to my environment.
yeah.
People. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, well, people are
Good.
great because people provoke, don't they? That's that.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But thank you. It's nice to be here. I'll come back.
Yeah, I'm pleased you're here. Yeah, I like that. And yeah. Oh God. And I love what you're going through. It's intense. I know it's intense, but it's good stuff. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't see anything wrong with it at all. No, there are no problems there, except that you get the screaming memes out in the shop, and everybody starts looking at you. Then there are consequences. But yeah, that's okay. You just make up a story, tell everybody, "Oh, I just won the lottery." And then everybody's with you. Then yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Vince.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, I'm pleased you're here. Yeah.
I have an alive question, Vince,
Yeah, go.
about connecting with others. Uh, so the story is that for a large part of my life, I've not been able to connect and understand other people, and I've thought maybe it's just a neurodiversity thing. But what it seems is that in being just in the present, just the experience of what's happening, I miss how other people are telling stories about themselves and the suffering they create. And a few times in the recent past, when I've sort of been able to see how they're creating suffering for themselves, I felt like my heart opened to them in ways that it doesn't when I'm just in the experience of the now unfolding. And so there's the possibility of like some responsibility for humanity or something to be able to have this empathy. So the living question is like, and not that I have a choice, because that seems to be the direction they're going. It's like it seems to be opening my heart or connection to people in ways that other things haven't. But I also don't want to go back into storyland. But yeah, so that's a living edge for me.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, what that brings up is interesting stuff here. And that is that in the beginning with this stuff, what we seem to do is we recognize that our thoughts lead us astray a lot. Uh, And so we kind of learn to mistrust our thoughts to a degree, and to trust our body more so. Our body tells us stuff. But it's a spiral thing. So when we've completed that circle, we're down at a different level, or we're up at a different level, whichever way you want to see the spiral. But we get to the point where we recognize that, well, our body tells us what it believes to be the truth, right? So the body never lies, but it responds to what it sees as the truth. And guess what? What it sees as the truth is the stories that it responds to. Right? So the story can be wrong, but the body's response to it is not wrong. The body's response to it is accurate. So then we start to go, well, okay, we can't trust the thoughts, and we can't trust the body either, particularly. Right? We can in a certain way, but not in another way. So then we come back around and we start to recognize that, hang on, if the body's responding to stories, then it's stories all the way down. There's nowhere where there's no stories. There are always stories. Right? So what we get this distinction between stories that are trustworthy and stories that are not. And the ones that are more trustworthy are the ones that don't have a whole lot of how can I put it? They're much more directly related to what's actually going on. Those stories that are trustworthy than the ones that we are up there in fantasy land where society operates, kind of thing. So when we get down to this level, then we start to look at stories that are, here's how I would put it. Intuition presents itself to us as a story, but it's a story that has a kind of a flavor to it. And that flavor is a flavor of rightness, but it always comes with a question mark. It's not an absolute statement. Those stories are always a possibility more than anything, but they have a certain flavor, a certain feeling of that feels good, that feels right, that kind of thing. And if it's that at that level that you connect with other people, so your intuition will tell you what they're experiencing. Right? Your head might be saying, "Oh yeah, they're telling stories and they're responding to those stories," but your intuition's telling you they're suffering, or whatever it is that they're experiencing. And that's the mirror neurons in your brain that get in that so that's a genuine connection with what's going on. And so they're down at that level, you trust your intuition. Experience will lead you there. You'll be right a few times, and then you'll go, yeah, I can trust that's a good story that I'm hearing, kind of thing. And so at that level, yes, look, man, my heart just explodes with compassion all the time, with people that hurt themselves and so on, it's just, yeah. So I don't know where I'm going with this, but you just got that bit so far.
That's super helpful, actually, because it does seem that way. It seems the story could be like intuition was turned off in service of no thinking, no thoughts, no information, and
yes.
There's a relaxing, a reconnecting with the body, and new information is coming in that has the smell of story and old, but there's something. It seems connecting instead of disconnecting.
Yeah, you got it beautifully. Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Such a relief.
Yeah. It is, yeah. And I've got tears in my eyes now from that's man, I just connected with you and that was beautiful. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Andre looks worried and Casimir looks perplexed. So I don't know. Let's go with Casimir. He turned his microphone on first. Yeah.
I can probably be short. I've got a question about something that I don't know if I'd call it realization, but something that kind of popped into attention's focus recently, and I haven't quite known what to make of it. Which was, so recently I've been noticing more how things really just happen spontaneously on their own. There's sort of the direct experience just here is just happening. That also includes thoughts, if attention can catch them in time. And I thought that I'd noticed how all thoughts, just kind of subjectively speaking, come out of nowhere. And so I figured, okay, just more of observing that and letting that sink in. And then a few days ago, I realized that there was a thought that I guess had been kind of sneaking under the radar the whole time, which was this sense that there's a me or as something that's having to that's collecting all of this learning. It is the one that is learning about all of this, that is realizing that thoughts don't do anything, that is realizing awareness just is, that's essentially having to keep track of the information. And then as soon as I realized that that is an idea, it kind of felt like attention looked right at it, and then it kind of just went pop. But the weird thing about that is it wasn't just that, okay, that was a sense of me that is now not necessary, but it seemed like the idea of identity in general, not just my identity, but like the idea of there being identity or of there being a manager in any sense kind of fell with that. And it's just weird. And I feel like it might just be that I've confused myself, or there are word games going on, but I don't know how to put it into words, but sort of seeing that reality really just is.
Yeah.
And like, thoughts will just appear when they're needed, relevant to the context, not because I or some other manager separate from that is the one that is learning things and is keeping track of things. It just, I don't know where it comes from. I mean, I can talk about and blah, 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 but subjectively speaking, everything. And I was not expecting that.
Yeah, so what comes to mind is unfamiliarity. That's it. It's kind of new territory. So it's unfamiliar. That's all. I don't. Yeah, yeah. No, that sounds like a really wonderful, wonderful experience. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was just surprising because I think I'm at this point very humbled. I don't think I'm ever going to say like, oh, I figured it out, or I see it now, because every time I say that, a few days or months later, there's something else like, oh wait, nope, that was another under the radar sneaky belief or thought or something. But maybe, yeah, a related question this inspires is, do you feel like you had a final definitive, oh, that was the last thread that got cut, or is
absolutely
it just
not.
deeper and deeper and deeper?
No.
Interesting.
I kind of imagine that if I did have that, I would be very suspicious straight away. Yeah. Yeah. No, I can't see. There's no end to this journey, mate. No, and there's no finish point at all. Yeah, maybe there is, but I don't. I haven't come across it. No, not even close, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And is there anything you've found so far, I guess, other than just words fail, but the raw, direct, immediate appearing experience? Other than that, is there anything you've found so far that didn't turn out to actually just be a thought? Because it's more and more things are, I'm just being surprised at how many concepts can be dropped without breaking the machinery of life, without things, ceasing to work. Just things can be appearing or floating in nothingness, right? Even the concepts of what is outside can just not need to be processed or even have an answer, but things still somehow I don't know. It's a lot of the ways in which I used to understand things no longer really make sense.
Sure. Yeah, and that will continue, I imagine. Yeah. Wait till you get to the point where the difference between outside and inside disappears.
Okay, wait, no, yeah. So this is I'm not sure this is what you mean, but again, speaking subjectively, not trying to say, I'm happy to try to rephrase it if it sounds too bizarre, but even body is not actually here subjectively. Inside and outside requires there to be some dividing something, some surface. I can't actually find it. But it's weird because there's no reference point. Like things really are just floating in nothing, not like even in nothing, because that kind of implies an inside or an outside.
Yeah. I get it. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. So as
Okay.
long
Well,
as you're as long as you're how can I put it, comfortable with that, that opens up more discovery. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, my curiosity is very excited by all this, but it's also just unexpected.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, good. Yeah. As soon as we have expectations, we put in cages around things, aren't we?
Sure.
Mm.
Hmm.
Mm. It's all just a wonderful journey of discovery, everything.
Castamere, hi. I'll explain. I'll tell you where I am with this because it seems to reflect what's happening to you at the moment. You said, oh, well, if you take the thoughts away and then you end up with the direct experience. But the direct experience, in a sense, is thoughts because the direct experience of yellow, there isn't yellow out there. It's something going on inside here. Yeah. Even if I don't label it, it's something my brain has done to interpret. If we're assuming, the photons hit the eye and the retina, reacts and then sends the signals to brain. Another story, but I like that story, but it's still a story, yeah. But so even on that level, everything that's interpreting is some sort of thought. So I got to this point. There's I don't know if you've had this said to you, but when you look at something, like if you look at a cat, yeah, it's not a cat. You can't see cat. You can see black hair, hear a purring sound. If you stroke it, it's warm and furry. Yeah. And I find myself disappearing down two different routes because there's something here going, of course there's a cat. Don't be stupid. There's got to be a cat. If there isn't a cat, what the hell's going on? Because I respond to the cat. I feed the cat. The cat comes up and rubs itself against me. But what I realized was as soon as I take that as real, I stop looking. Like as soon as I say, oh, it's a cat, there's a part of my brain that goes, right, fine, done, finished with that.
Right.
And move on to the next thing. There's sort of this recognition system that does its job and say dealt with. As where if I sit and look at, for want of a better description, the cat, I can then see more in it. If I don't just use the label cat. So I can see
that just end the search early.
Yeah, exactly. I think you've nailed it there. It ends the search early. And maybe it's that search, whether it's looking, whether it's thinking, never ends on any level. Like you just talking to Vince, and Vince said, this search we're looking for, he's not found the end. Yeah. And I think that is in every moment. We end the search early. Yeah. We just go, right, sorted that, dealt with that. I understand that. I know that. That's the door. My wife was wrong. My kids are in pain, whatever. And as soon as I put those labels on things, I stop dealing with them or I stop investigating. I stop whatever it is. I stop. Yeah. And I think for me, that's where I am. It's stopping the stopping, for one of a contradiction. Yeah. And it sounds like you're in the same place. So yes, just keep going and keep going. And there is a space where there isn't a separation between whatever this is and everything else.
Yeah, and I think you're describing this really well. And where my curiosity is currently most focused, I guess, related to that is, as you said, as soon as you put a conceptual label on something, on some level, the mind might be satisfied by that, which might end the search early, or so to speak. And what I now have started noticing is, even as I think I'm realizing things more, well, then that just gets labeled. But then at some point, that can be deliberately sort of relax, and you sort of just keep looking. But if I relax into that more and more, it almost seems like at some point there has to be something that literally cannot be conceptual or put a label on. I mean, you can just make up a word to point to that thing that cannot be labeled, right? That's kind of just playing with words. But that then raises the question of what's the point of the words or the labels or the thoughts? It's causality has been really interesting to me in this search, and I'm less and less able to definitively find ways in which thoughts are actually necessary for, like, take your cat example. It seems like in principle, even without the recognition, the like thought label, that's a cat. Feeding the cat will still happen, petting the cat will still, like, all of that actually doesn't seem to need those thoughts. But
Yes.
yeah.
I mean, I think a better example for me is driving a car. I actually drive better if I don't think. I just, all the automatic actions happen, which obviously we can argue that we learnt and then they've become, subconscious, unconscious, another story. But I agree with you. It's something. I haven't quite nailed this yet. And again, nailing it doesn't happen either. But it's something about, yes, there's no need of thoughts, or the thoughts happen on some level that it doesn't matter. Just let them do what they do. Yeah. And life happens. Like, as I say, we walk through doors. We don't walk into walls. We don't have to think about it. We don't eat poisonous food, or if something tastes disgusting, we spit it out. We don't think about it. Yeah. And I love the illusion. I think I still have a love for the illusion that, I've reached this point in life and it's my endeavor that's brought me here. But I know that's complete bullshit. Yeah. Everything that's brought me to this point in my life, in a sense, was luck. It just happened. And I hope you get to that point, because it's actually, before I got there, it was feeling as though, oh my God, that sounds depressing or wrong or dangerous. And it's just peaceful. Yeah?
Cool. Thanks for sharing.
So I'd like to ask you a good question. I want you to ponder this one. What is your relationship to the breeze when you experience it? And I don't want an answer. I want you to ponder it. And I want you to also then consider, is it possible to have the same relationship with your thoughts as you have with the breeze? I want you to ponder it for a week.
Yeah, no. Okay. That's leveling the playing field for thoughts.
Yeah. Isn't it? It's interesting that thought wants to give thought, wants to elevate thought to more important than the breeze.
Yeah. There's something, for some reason, about thought that makes it trickier than other experience to get the right perspective on or vantage point on. But yeah, okay. I like that.
Are you consumed with thoughts about what you're going to say when I ask you to say something, Andre?
Vince, you could say that. But I'm more consumed with whether what I have to say is going to be helpful or destructive for the mission of this endeavor, group endeavor. And if it's like if I have a fantasy that my here and now may divert the everyone from enlightenment and awakening and seeing through and all those words. I was actually thinking that if we no, that's I was just amazed at how my irritation and aggression, um maybe rage in a way, how smart it is and how because I was like I was saying all the nasty stuff about you when you were talking to myself and I would I would just I was quite excited because I'm very creative in the way that I am angry with people and too bad like people will probably get upset when I say this so I don't say this and then I keep it to myself and then I think like but all these profound uh, things that you're discussing here and talking about and I just see that I don't connect with any of those right now. I mean, it's and it's kind of hard to say this because when I say this, do I make myself um, well, less prepared or less focused on it almost feels like I walk into a wrong class, you know, and you guys do painting, whatever, and I just start talking about history and you're just like, what the f what? You know, you just there's a naked person in the middle of the room, you know. Sit down, draw him, paint him. And I'm just like, no, I want to talk about Renaissance and because of that, because this whole thing happens in me, I'm like, is this like do I really like what's the and then I also blame myself for not being able to see if there's a need in me that a need to disrupt whatever is happening or a need to quench another need, which I'm not seeing at the moment, that instead of uh, instead of stopping you from painting, just be able to, you okay, Dennis? Just be able to tell you, okay, guys, I see what you're doing is important, but here's what's happening for me, and I just want to um fuck, I just saw a notification of a message and it completely distracted me. Um, so I should be able to see that this is what's happening to me, and I'm going to take this to like a psychotherapist, right? Or I'm going to sit down with it and make sure it doesn't disturb everyone else from having from having your collective kind of effort and but then I can't like you're saying there's nothing I can do because I mean if I know all these things but I don't do them they just happen and I don't really know what happens and when David was talking about listening to music and feeling it that's I I I often notice myself doing this that I just play some music and it doesn't have to be certain type of music. Because when David, you talked about this, I remembered there's like an exercise. It's called quantum light breathing or something like that. It's 1 hour. It's a little bit like the holotropic breathing. It's basically like a playlist, like certain pieces of music that evoke certain type of emotions in you, and then it's I think it's free actually. I can share it in the chat if people are interested. And you just sit down and you start breathing with your stomach and your mouth, and you listen to different pieces of music, and then this music takes you from all kinds of, full range of emotions, and then at the end you feel, well, I feel um relieved in a way, because I feel all these emotions. But then I know this is there, this is handy, but I don't do it. I don't like, I'm not efficient. I'm not productive with my life. And like I probably should have been awake by now. But yeah, but I don't know how. And then so Vince, this is like, and also one thing I kind of I was like, Vince, it seems like Vince knows it all. Like, people talk about different shit, and they, talk about different whatever stratas and things, and Vince knows it all. Vince can respond to it all. I'm like, oh wow, that's 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 my way of, I guess, being angry with you, Vince, in a creative way of not calling your names or something. But I'm just angry with you just for no reason, just for blah. Just this is like this is my piece of anger towards you, just a little sting, maybe. I don't know. I
So
don't know
why does your anger towards me crack up Dennis and Irene? They're both just about rolling on the floor laughing at you over this.
I'm saying something silly, I guess.
Well, for me, can I just
go on.
say why I'm laughing is, first of all, I can relate so much to what Andre is saying, number one. Like you walk into an art class, but you want to talk history. And I'm feeling very similarly, but it's not a problem. It's just like, okay, this is a little bit like eluding me. And so, okay, no problem. But it's the same experience.
So it's a bit of synchronicity. She's laughing because she gets what you're saying. Yeah. What was your laughter about, Dennis? You were cracking up there too.
Irene just said it already. The exact same thing. I was like, yes. It was like, yeah, I feel like I'm in the wrong room. Yeah.
And being in the wrong room is not a problem.
No.
It's not a problem. It's still interesting, and who knows what will happen next.
Well, somehow it is a problem for me, and I'm trying to either I'm quite limited with the strategies here. I'm trying to either it's like, oh, I'm sorry, and then just go to another room where it's more appropriate to do what I am in the mood, or I feel like doing, or try to find another way of melting, of melding, or merging, or or actually build a bridge between what I am, what is happening for me right now, and what is happening for the main theme of the group. And then maybe not a bridge, maybe see the synchronicity that Vince is talking about. The like, what is what does like Andre, who's irritated, angry, um, doesn't feel connected, have in common with I don't know, with Casimir's question, and and Vince's responses, and other people's experiences. If there is any, maybe there's no bridge, maybe it's just you cannot build it, and then like Irene is saying, it's okay then too, but it's kind of hard for me to accept it, that it's okay. But I do feel out of place in a way that it's like, well, do I because usually in life I am able to do something about it. Again, like I either remove myself from the group, from the company if I feel inappropriate, or I just bring up my inappropriateness and see what happens. It depends on the group, of course, but usually in a group like this, I can afford to do that. I can be inappropriate. I can just say, I, I like what I'm feeling is anger, frustration, sense of disconnection, a little bit of amusement, fun, but also it could be a layer on top of anger as well. Not really. I'm not really amused. I'm more like, I'm like I feel stupid in a way. I, well, because like I cannot relate. I cannot feel the resonance. Um, and do I just then, take out like a little child who just goes, picks up his plastic tools, spade, whatever, and just starts hitting other kids, and because that's the only thing I can do because I cannot find a way to relate to other kids because other kids are doing something else. Well, at least it seems to me they're doing something else.
Andre,
Hi.
why are you here?
That, oh. Well, originally I'm here because I wanted to, because there was a sense of hope for me that I'm going to progress with the waking up thing.
Okay. Okay.
In a different way, not in the same way that I didn't progress with other techniques or methods.
Okay. So what's the current belief?
Well, that I'm just like I am. Hmm, that I have drawn a few pictures that kind of okay, and but they're not really full paintings like you guys can paint. And that I'm sitting here with my um childish kind of drawings or paintings, but they're not really like like I have something, I have a little bit of what you have in common with you. Like I have a little bit of that. I don't have a lot of that. I haven't I but but I don't see I am getting more of what you're talking about as a result of being with you. Um I am getting something else.
Okay.
That's a different story.
I'm hearing you kind of, just to distill it down, is the current belief, I don't get it.
Yeah. I get
Okay.
nothing.
Okay. So what's in between the belief I don't get it and the belief I get it?
Um, there has to be some kind of change. There has to be some kind of release. There has to be some relaxation. Um, Liberation. Yeah, unleashed. There has to be, I have to feel, I have to register it in a way that I am able. Well, the original response to your question was, I have no fucking clue. But then, because I realized that whoever is putting these labels on has no fucking clue. Uh, so it's basically like it's always changing. It's like every time you want to get a specific answer, like how do you know when you get there? Well, I don't, but I won't tell you. Like I don't, but I won't tell you. And you cannot really catch that, you know, thing or thought because it keeps changing. So
And do you
there's
notice
no,
that that's
what's that?
do you notice that that's all stories?
I know these are stories, yes, but I
So
am
so what's here?
I am
What's here? What's here that's not a story? Don't think about it.
Mm. This is what David was talking about when he cries when he listens to the music. So this is what it is for me. And this is when you just said it, this is what I felt. I just feel that on top of all these castles of vibration and stories and words and all that, there's underneath all that, there's this um I don't know what it is. Life, intense.
And is this what you came for?
I kind of love and hate at the same time you being so categorical. But I guess yeah. I just and this is it for the mind it does feel crazy and it feels like yeah, like I'm cuckoo, like I have and then it has no social it's not a social currency, it has no social value. Like
And without those thoughts and beliefs, what's here?
it, it just feels like I can give you any kind of description, it will still be it. It just doesn't really matter how I describe it. It's just there.
Could that be it?
Yeah. No, I'm not telling you. Yeah, I could. If I'll tell you, you'll get it too. So, no. I just, with all this, I, why am I so heavily invested in all these stories? Like, you know,
You
I,
know,
I
that's
don't
just
get
a
it.
thought.
It is, but that's what I call suffering. What I just said basically meant, why do I suffer every day? If I have this, and this is accessible, this is readily, this it's there. Why do I why do I come to this group and just fucking start to rattle? I have this. It's just
Just more thoughts.
that's a very polite way of saying. Yes. But like David said, what's wrong with the thoughts? There's nothing wrong with the thoughts, right? Why you guys like you like the whole Inquisition of the 16th or 15th century? Let's burn those thoughts. That I have them.
No, I'm just pointing out. Do you notice that that's another thought?
It is. I don't have anything else. That's my that's that's my weapon. That's my vehicle. That's my clothes. That's everything. That's my thoughts is like it it's
And
my
what's
skin.
the what's in between? That's everything. That's nothing.
Yeah, these are just words. They don't mix. When you like when you're asking this, it just doesn't make sense because there's what I sort of imagine is there's this it's like this is like water and oil, and then water is the thoughts are not mixing with water. The thoughts are like oil, and they just they just go, they just float up on the surface, and they're not mixing with it. So when you say everything and nothing, and they're just like they it's just for me, right? That's how I feel. I don't. There's nothing behind the word everything. There's nothing behind the word nothing.
Andre, is it okay to be just the way you are? Is it okay to be just the way you are right now?
No. Um. No, because I'm not there yet. Because I'm not. There's.
Get into a comfortable cross-legged seated position on the floor if you can for this
Okay.
meditation.
Thank you, David. Was it
I
David?
don't know where that came from.
So Irene, no, no. I think that's also then is that's this is why I'm here because I'm trying to fix this. I'm trying to fix this. And you guys are talking about a fix. Awakening is a fix. That's at least how I see it. Well, if you remove all the big words.
Actually, Andre, for me, it's not about fixing it. It's about not needing to fix it. It's actually quite the opposite. Not needing to fix it. It's okay. You're the way you are. What's the problem?
Well, I wish I could have this kind of I could see the things I could see things the way you are looking at them now. Like this doesn't need fixing. This is okay. But unfortunately, well, fortunately, unfortunately, I don't know. That's not how I see myself. And it's not like I don't want to. It's just that's how I probably have been conditioned or I don't know, maybe there's another nature.
Right. And is that okay to not be okay with yourself? Without it being a problem.
Well, you could I see. Yeah, you could I mean, I could probably if I sit on the floor like David said with my legs crossed, I'll probably arrive there to that place of it's okay. But in my normal life, daily life, no. I don't live from that place. I live from a place of a space or place or whatever of having to fix, of having to get something somewhere to become someone to
Mm.
unleash the potential.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I hear you.
yeah, potential unleashed. That's my alternative sect, not liberation unleashed.
I just want you to know that I think you're absolutely perfect and I just love you so much.
Also wanted to quickly mention, can only speak for myself, but to try to combat, the what's it? Is it called the Instagram effect, where from the outside it looks like everyone has these perfect lives, and then but actually on the inside there's all this chaos going on. I have no idea what it looks like from the outside, but I have tons of doubts about everything I'm saying. And probably one of the best ways that I frustrate Vince is consistently saying that, like, oh, but I'm not sure about this and what about this. So I do not have things figured out at all. And I also would want you or anyone else to completely call me out on if you think I'm deluding myself in any way. So maybe I'm completely projecting here, but if you're ever hesitant to question something because, oh, you don't want to shatter my insights or happiness or anything, like, do not hesitate. Like I'm here to actually see the way things are. And you will not offend me. Like you have full license to say anything since you know you don't know me beyond this situation. Again, I can only speak for myself, but I'm open to any and all questions, critiques. I'm just here to try to figure out what's going on.
Maybe we're all just clueless.
I guess, Casimir, what you just said is probably, yeah, is my response to, because when you talk about, I don't know, somehow, but maybe this is my way of connecting with people, is to see them, is to feel them talk about their um, being vulnerable and talk about whatever it is like that's hurting for them now. And by hurting, it doesn't mean it's like physical or emotional pain. It could be like whatever is an issue for them in their lives now. I mean, where are they struggling? Where are they fighting or combating? And I think that I have a little bit of a utopic or maybe idyllic sort of perception that if people are like fully like if I fully acknowledge um whatever is maybe stopping me from being in the moment right now or disturbing me, or and I can just somehow at least see it and talk about it, and then something else will change, something else will happen. But it will be natural. It won't be me sort of trying to push myself into something or pull myself into something. And I have this fantasy, I guess, where people I feel when people open up like that, and then I feel alive, I guess. When I feel that way, and then I guess I feel that way also when other people feel that way. And maybe it's just, I don't know, maybe it's just me trying to shape the world in a way that I can feel certain way. And like you said, I am happy if people, confront me on that and tell me, um, oh, you're doing this because la la la. But like this whole people telling me they like me thing, because part of me is just loves it and enjoys it, but another part of me says, well, that's because it's built on trauma, and this is a skill you have developed, and you know how to pull the strings, and then I'm just like, oh fuck, really? Like, and then but then because I want the truth so much, or whatever it is, I'm prepared to listen to that too. But I probably only listen to that part most of my life, not to the one that says, "Oh, we love you," and then, "Oh, okay, someone loves me," and then and I just feel it. I just let it in, and then and maybe share it back. Maybe I don't know. And so for me, this whatever is here and now is if I could just find a way to deepen it, I guess, and to make it more sincere, and then uh and then I think that's one of the things that Vince is like has created this space, which is a safe space, because the moment I joined this group, I felt like, I mean, I have been with other groups too, but I cried, and I'm okay with crying, but I went really deep, somewhere really deep, and I think Alan helped me with that, with his his voice, and yeah. And I think this is Dennis, this is why I'm here. I'm here for this. But like before I came to this group today, I was like, that's it. I'm going to this group today, and I'm gonna call them names, and I'm gonna, like, I'm just gonna make sure that they uh, this was my plan. This was my plan for the I probably wouldn't be brave enough to do it, but I was like, I want them to hate me. I want them to fucking hate me and to push me aside. And it's probably just one of my, traumas from my childhood, like where I am sure that people don't like me, and I'm just waiting for them to push me away. And then if it doesn't happen, I'll try to make it happen. by accelerating it, by calling people names, and then they're like, "What the?" So they push me away, and then I'm like, "See, told you, yeah, you cannot
So
trust them."
Andre,
People,
what's
sorry,
truer? People don't like me, or I don't like me?
I don't like me. I don't like me, but it makes more sense to say people don't like me. It's safer. It's it's just it's easier to understand that way.
You
When I
don't like
project,
you makes more sense to me because you're full of shit, you know. Well, you are. I've just, how many times have we heard this same shit around and around and around? You go just saying the same thing all the time. It's obvious that you don't like yourself. And it's obvious that you don't like yourself because you're full of shit.
that's these are the exact words that I keep hearing inside of myself towards myself. So,
But you're full of shit about that too, you know.
well, I am.
So there's
I'm
no winning, is there? There's no way out of that. You're full
no,
of shit, and
I'm
you're full
giggle.
of shit about being full of shit.
Yeah, that's what well, I mean, I call it faking, but you call it being full of shit. But yeah, it's like
But
you.
the way I see it, there's only one problem. There's only one, and I call it a problem because it is a problem. You know, there's only one problem. You know everything you need to know. You're just not living it. You're just not letting it happen for some reason. With that one thing, that one block, that's all there is. Everything else is there. We can't tell you anything about self or control or any about, all of that shit. The only thing is that you're not letting yourself be it for some reason. I don't know what that reason is. I can't find it. Jesus, I've tried and I can't find it. I mean, if I said to you, look, I want you to be as destructive as you can possibly be to this group. I want you to come in here and call everybody names and do whatever it is that you can do to pull this group down so that everybody leaves. They can't stand you and they just go away and the group's finished because you've done it. In the end, you would just go, see, that's the way it is, wouldn't you?
I think there's something to I think it's probably something to do with the fear of failing or fear of being a failure or and I kind of laugh about it in a way, but I don't really allow myself to just fucking collapse and just like be so bad, but in like for real, not
Mm,
in a theatrical or dramatic way, like, oh, I'm
mm,
bad. No, like, oh, you that like you're a fucking failure. That's like, so I'm not allowing myself to be imperfect or I mean, you said the way I am, and I cannot be the way I am because I spend so much time for the fueling that suit that I have and armor or whatever, and I just every time I start to fall or trip, I try to make it look as if I try to make it look nice or perfect
mm.
or flawless or
You're
so.
really good at that. You do that really well.
Yeah, but like you saying, well, if I could name one thing that's probably stopping me from just being myself, and the way I see myself right now is that desire to be, to never fail, to yeah, to be perfect, and I'm and I and I and I'm so engulfed in this process or game that I can't just stop. I just have to,
Yeah, I get it. I know. I get that. You can't stop. That's a really big thing. I get that. Yeah. You can't. Can you see that to be perfect is to be able to fail, is to be able to be not perfect? That's perfect. Nobody else is perfect except in your mind. Everybody else is perfect in your mind except you. But nobody else is actually perfect. Everybody else fails all the time, which is perfect.
Again, like what I have the same feeling that I have when Irene was saying this and when you're saying this now. This is like I hear this, I understand this, um, but I don't live it that way.
And why not? What's going on that stops you from living it? That's the bit. That's the thing. That's the only thing. That's the only connection between you and perfection.
There's a decision.
Yeah, it's like it is like a decision needs to be made. And that decision is about, what would you say the first words that come to you? What's that decision about?
Well, it's about being well, the on the other side is the rejection, I guess, is
No, don't
they
run
don't like
away
me.
from this. Come back to what the decision is.
The decision is um I have to be um I have to I have to be mm, how they want me to be. I have to
How do they want you to be?
yeah. Well, is that a question?
Yeah.
It's almost like dropping certain parts of me like for good, like just skipping them altogether and basically cutting out pieces of me.
Yeah.
Um,
The successful bits, the bits where you fake being okay, the bits where you're funny, the bits where that make you
where have
acceptable.
yeah, where I am not uh the bits where I'm perfect, the bits where I don't have an accent, the bits where
Yeah.
um the bits where I never fail, never
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
fail. Like
Yeah.
I'm whatever I do, like first attempt, it's 100%. And
Yeah.
if not, then yeah, you just there's something happens to that, but I don't really register it. But
Yeah,
I
it's a bit
think
of a
it's
trick, isn't it? We like you because you're perfect, but we want you to drop the perfection.
but then you won't like me. Yeah, well,
That's it, isn't it? That's it. Then we won't like you anymore.
that's what I wanted to do today. I,
Well, that's what you
well,
are
I
doing, isn't it? That's what you are doing. We're seeing the imperfections in you, and we think that's perfect. We are seeing them in you, and we think that's perfect. But that's not what you're seeing, eh?
I cannot take
Nor-
ownership of them as being imperfections or
Yeah,
as
yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I still,
You're turning them into perfection.
yeah.
So, if you're imperfect, then that's just a fake act so that we'll accept you. Not real imperfection, it's fake imperfection.
Oh fuck. This is too hard for
Isn't it?
for
It is
whoever.
hard, yeah. So let's face it, you're fucked. There's no way out for you.
I am. So all I can do is just be angry about it because I have no fucking clue what to do with it.
Yeah.
Because
Well, that's
whatever.
an imperfection that we'd like to see. Let's see you be. I haven't seen you be angry ever. You've talked about it, but I've never seen you be angry. I mean, you've said, I've thought about telling you to get fucked, Vince, but I've never heard you say it. Why don't you try it? Say it. Tell me to get fucked. Tell me to piss off. With anger. Say it in your voice. Fake it. Well,
Yeah,
can't you
man,
do it? Come on, I can do it. Can't you do it?
there's no anger towards you. Well, there's no okay, there's there's no for what?
You're just going to worm your way out of it, are you?
Yeah, man. Yeah, but because I fucking hate to fake it. Even though I'm doing it, but
Yes. So this is it. You've got no escape because you're faking the faking, and you can't not fake the faking because that'll be fake. So you're fucked. You're totally fucked. Not a single thing you can do. And the worst part about it is we still fucking like you.
which makes it
Which
it
is
doesn't
fake. Totally fake.
well,
God, I fucking hate you. You really
fuck, that's a
just
gay.
screw my groups up. You do. You fucking do. Every single time you come here and you go on with the same shit every time, and you really fuck it up for me. You know, I want you to wake up, and you won't fucking wake up. Why won't you wake up? Now I'm angry. How do you feel about that? It wasn't fake, by the way. It was.
Wasn't no.
It was real. Yeah.
I thought about will other people, feel safe and but I was actually well, yeah, I froze for a moment. Um but I and I could feel my body is responding with tears instead of anger if you were expecting anger. And but I just wanted to stay longer with this somehow.
Mm.
With your anger because I did feel I mean it sounds weird, but I felt curious about like you don't often, experience this in the world, of people really becoming angry at you and feeling this and then but and then of course when I felt the tears I thought, oh, you're not doing it right. You should be responding with anger. You should fucking stand up to him and and uh, and
Yeah.
it's just not there. It's just
You
some
can never
people are
do it
drop.
right, can you? You can't do it right, no matter what you try. Huh?
Yeah, and also I thought it was funny because I think Zoom has a way of normalizing the louder you speak, it sort of normalizes it automatically and and it turns your anger into like normal behavior. So you cannot be angry and yell because your voice will be the loudness of your voice will be normalized and you will just sound normal. Like what an irony. Uh,
What is it that you're so afraid of? What is it? You're so afraid of something. You use words like knives, you slash all the people away from you, and then you cut yourself off from your feelings. You're afraid of something. What is it? Can you feel it? Look inside yourself. Allow yourself to be uncomfortable, even if it's just a couple minutes. You feel.
It's it feels like it's um it feels like suppressed anger. Um, but it's like it feels
Where
like
is it? Where is it?
this disguised
Where,
anger.
where is it in your body? Where is it in your body?
It's the solar plexus, a little lower, and actually it's the chest.
Does it have a quality?
Mm. Just it just feels like tension, tension, and it has a weird flavor. It's mm, I'll just say the the stories
What does
that
it
are
feel like?
around it.
Don't say anything. Don't say anything. Just what does it feel like? Is it changing?
No, no, I
What is
don't like. I haven't touched it. It was just on the surface. Whatever is a whatever the feeling is, it's
say with it? Don't talk. Just what is it doing? Does it have a color?
no.
A shape to it?
It's yeah. No, nothing. It's just it's I don't I don't see it. I don't really feel it. It's just it's inside. It's
Is it moving?
no.
Fluctuate? Is it more intense or less intense?
It's the same intensity. It's this. I just um. There's some shivering in the arms and but the
Keep.
sensation itself, I don't
What
I
about
don't
the
know.
arms? What about the arms?
Well, they're like tingling in the fingers, and there's a um and then there's some tension in the head. Uh, mm, And then there's dry lips and thirst, I guess. And then there's this desire to explain it and explain it.
Don't go there though, but just go where it feels.
It's just
Place else in the body.
darkness. It's just dark. It's just nothing there.
Okay.
I could. No, yeah, well.
You were real for a couple of minutes there. You're doing great. Maybe you should relax for a while.
I wish I could. I wish I could actually touch the. Well, I'm a little disappointed because I only scratched the surface again, Vince.
Putting yourself down, that's good.
Yeah. The usual. But I just feel compelled to give you the description that I have. Maybe it's just one of those borrowed descriptions, but it's like it's a feeling of anger and remorse at the same time. And remorse sort of coats the anger in a way, and I don't know what it feels like, but it almost like you're killing someone. I've never killed anyone, and I don't have plans to. Disclaimer. But and feel remorse. Feel that remorse slash pity slash love slash it feels really weird, but it does feel in a way as a way of stopping anger. And I have an explanation. Probably it's because when you hate the caregiver so fucking much you want to kill them, but you depend on them, right? You as a child. So, but I think it's it's a story. A story on top of that.
Well, maybe it's not. Maybe it's more than a story. You know, maybe this is your caregiver, and not only your caregiver but your protector. So you can hate and love it at the same time. That's obvious. Yeah. And watch yourself undoing the scratch that you made. That scratch definitely weakened the protective armor. So just let it be a scratch and don't undo it. It's only a scratch, but it's a scratch, and it's an important scratch.
Yeah, I appreciate your support in this in seeing how I undo it and helping me see this undoing.
Yeah.
It just feels like there's a lot of this where it came from, or
Yeah, it's interesting how it's really, really complex, but it's also really, really simple. It's just amazing, you know. And that's life, isn't it? You know, I can hate you and love you at the same time. I do. Now I feel the love. A moment ago, I felt the hate. Well, not the hate, the anger. But yeah, that was there. You know. But now I feel the love for you, and I feel great compassion for your difficulty. Yeah. Yeah.
thank you guys. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Dennis. Great guide. You'll be a great guide. I envy you.
Mm. Yeah, I love how everybody gives you feedback and how people just wow, they just hook into what you say. You just evoke stuff in other people brilliantly. One day you're going to be a really, really good guide. How are you, Louise? How's things been for you?
And just I there was a lot in there. Wow. I don't really know what to say. I don't think I've ever been in this kind of the like with the like honesty and touching a reality in and seeing a reality in people. It's just so and somebody said to I think Dennis said, why are you here? And I was like, well, why am I here? Why do I keep coming back? And I don't know, but it's just that resonance. Like people are saying stuff that I've had in my head for years. And to just see when you just when Andre spoke earlier, I felt quite like there was some fear came up. It was and now I just feel like what I expressed was just how I feel, how I think, and to see your anger, to see anger. It wasn't your anger. It was like an anger came into the space, and just with what was spoken before. Sorry, I don't know if I'm making any sense. I think what I'm trying to say is like I was with anger, and I didn't find myself diverting or wanting to get away from that anger. It was like so. It was so okay. Like I don't usually like being around people that are angry. And even if it's not really shown, so it can be kind of well hidden, and I kind of sense it. But there's some. I feel quite. I feel quite. There's some freedom, some. Oh, I don't know. It's just.
I get it. I get it. That's beautiful. And I'm just blown away by how amazing how Andre's fakeness can produce such real stuff in us. Isn't it brilliant? Isn't it just amazing?
Fucking hell, that's me. I was so fucking fake. So fucking fake. Like and I don't come onto Zooms and swear, but I feel like wow, somebody has been it's just that I just want to be myself. I just want to be myself. And when you talked about you can love and hate, you can love and hate. I realized that was a belief. I didn't know that's true. It's so true. But there was a belief that it had to be one or the other. And it moves from moment to moment. Went from fear to compassion, to resonance, to confusion. And as Scott talked through the feeling in the body, just watching. There was no thoughts. It was just feeling. It's like a big blob moving around. I don't really feel like I need to say much. It's just much more. Just
You've said a
beautiful,
whole world.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Feel very yeah.
Yeah. So much of what you just said was not in the words, but in the tone and the feeling behind the words, and that was just moved me greatly. Thank you. That was beautiful.
Mm.
I just want to add, I don't think Andre's fake at all.
Neither do I.
Yeah, he's very honest and sincere in his fakeness, isn't he? It's very rare, very unfake fakeness. Mm. Well, does anybody else want to bring up anything?
I do.
Yes, please. Come on in.
I'm really tired because I'm in France at the moment, and so I'm an hour ahead. So normally you're on at 9 in England, but when I'm in France, you're on at 10. So that's not why I want to talk though. I just wanted to share because I'm completely, utterly at a loss to know how to cope with the situation I'm in at the moment. So I needed to share it. I've been away from, I don't know where to begin. I'm in the house that I was in 2 years ago before I had my mini stroke and then all the business with sorting my heart out, which it still isn't sorted out yet. But I've come back to see my so-called partner, who I've not seen for 2 years, and who's now got dementia and COPD, so he can't breathe. That's probably why he's got dementia. And I've never felt so challenged in all my life. He is all the parts of his character that are difficult, negative, are all to the fore. And he is he's always been a bit aggressive, but now he's really, and not violently, physically violent, but he's always been a bit aggressive, and now he's I think he's just so angry. He's also not only not able to walk for 5 yards, but he's now incontinent, so he wears nappies. And the house that I'm not in the house that I left, because I'm in the house that's not actually built yet, but I've got a bed in here, and but there's no water, there's no water or loo or well, it's not built yet. It's partly built. I can't live in the house that I left because it's so filthy, and it's surrounded, and it's full of bags of rubbish, because he's become addicted to keeping the rubbish. And so there's rubbish all around the house. There's 2 houses, the little house, and there's rubbish. Some of his nappies that are in a bag under the table. So when where I cook and when I eat with him, I've got a few bags there, and that's the situation I'm in. And I've got some friends who kind of, if someone help me clean up here, make it livable. And I am. I'm having to use all the patience that I can muster in order to cope with him, because he's not at all normal. And I don't know. It's like the most challenging situation I've ever experienced in my whole life. And yeah, I'm not quite sure how to deal with it. I don't know how long I'll stay here. I'll try and stay here as long as I can and go back. Sorry telling you all this. It's just that I guess I'm just, how on earth do you cope with a person who doesn't remember anything, and he wasn't like this when I left him. And I can't even describe the situation, but all my thank God the last 2 years, I've been meditating once or twice a day. So when he sends out insults to me, it doesn't mean anything really. But sometimes I do get cross with him, and I have shouted quite a few times since I've been here. I've been here 4 days. But I don't know how I'm going to cope with it. And I do have a friend who's going to come back on the 15th of this month, and I'll get a bit of help. But until that, I dread going in there in the mornings to go and make a cup of tea. I dread it. I creep around so I don't wake him up, and then I go and give him a cup of tea. I feel like I've been trained almost the last 2 years meditating, being trained for this moment. And this moment is the most difficult.
So do I remember rightly, Yvonne, that when you were in England with your different kids, that there were challenges with all of them, each of them? There were also challenges, but not like this. Not like this. Okay, yeah.
No,
so
I mean, because he's aggressive. So, and he's angry, and he's totally pissed off. I mean, underneath it all, like when I was leaving, coming to this house, he put his hand out and said, "Hold my hand." So I went and held his hand, and then I put my hand on his back, and then I gave him a kiss on the cheek. He's desperate. He's desperate, and I don't know what to do. I don't know, because I can't sell the house, because I mean, we'd have to go back to England, and I don't know. I don't know if I can. I don't even know if I can carry on looking after. I've come back to help him. I don't know how long I can do that for, but I don't know. I don't know. Sorry, I don't know. I don't know what anyone can say.
Don't be sorry, and nobody can give you an answer, but we can look at the situation. Yeah.
It's
So
difficult. Sorry, carry on. I mean, I'm not sorry, but carry on.
yeah, go on. Yeah. Okay. One of the things that I always say, and it just makes absolute sense to me. It's never about what it appears to be about. It's never about what the situation is. It's always about what triggers your response to the whole thing.
Yeah, yeah. I've
Right?
had
So
plenty of yeah.
yeah. So we're not talking about you coping. We're not
No.
talking about you changing the situation. What we're
Mm.
talking about is that feeling in you that is pretty desperate, that is pretty hard to live with. That feeling in you of helplessness, that feeling in you of what desperation, really, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I can't find a word to describe. Yeah, guess it could be desperation.
Mm.
I,
So
I mean,
when you meditate, what happens? What that place you
well,
go to?
well, what, well, when I meditate, all the I come down into my body, and I come mostly round about my heart, and I just drop down into the body, and I sit for about an hour, but quite a lot. I get the thoughts come about how pissed off I am, and yeah, and it's quite often the mind is active. I get a bit of peace, drop, and I drop, and I drop, and then then the thought comes about how.
So when those thought comes, when they arrive, and you're in a place of peace and calm, and then those thoughts arrive, what happens then? What do they disturb the peace and the calm?
Disturbing. They're very disturbing.
Right. And then answer me this. Does the peace and the calm come and disturb the disturbance? Does the peace and calm have an effect on that, or that only that has an effect on the peace and calm?
That has an effect on peace and calm, because when I'm with him,
no, I'm talking about when you're meditating. When you're meditating.
Well, yeah. When I'm meditating, I have peace and calm.
And
it's
then
the same
thoughts
peace and calm I have. Then the thoughts come, but it's very similar. It's the same peace and calm I have when I'm with him, because, he can say what he likes, because I feel like I've been trained for this. And I get mad with him, and then woof, it's gone, and there's nothing there. Nothing there. Yep. And that's the peace and calm.
Yes.
So I can get to nothing there while I'm meditating. But when I'm meditating, it's almost worse, because that's where I'm expecting the peace and calm. So when the thoughts come about the situation, it's horrible. It's
a
worse
bigger disturbance. Yeah,
it's a terrible disturbance. And then I accept this disturbance. I say, yeah, okay. Yeah, this is exactly where I am. Here I am, right in the middle of hell. It's hell. Hell in the head.
Yep.
Okay.
And you can see, it doesn't take much for you to see that there's a good reason why he is angry
my
and
heart.
so on.
My heart goes out to him. So it's a mixture of like compassion for him. And then I think, fuck you. Because the fact is, he's got family, but he's not spoken with his boys since they were children. He left one wife with 2 children. Then he met another woman, had 2 more children, and left them. And then he got married again. But he's kind of lost contact. And he's angry that I've got my family who care about me, and all he's got is me. And I'm pissed off with him. that he smoked all his life and he's still smoking, although he's got COPD, can't breathe and can't walk more than 5 yards. And in the evening, he starts drinking. And so when I see the bottle come out, it came out at 3:30 this afternoon. And I stupidly said, because he normally starts at 5. And I stupidly said, "Oh, you're having a drink now? Oh, 3:30. Yeah, I'm having a fucking drink. Is that all right?" I went, "Oh, yeah. Sorry, yeah, of course. Carry on, because what can I do or say?" And then that makes him morose and that makes him more aggressive. And I just have to be careful what I say all the time, you know.
That's
and I managed to do a bit. So, yeah, pretty awful. I managed to do a bit of cleaning. I do little areas, and but he complained I'd not cleaned the cooker very well. After I'd made her some soup. And his memory is just so awful because he keeps asking me the same question again and again and again and again. And I do say, "I have already told you that." "Well, I don't remember. I don't. No, you didn't." Or
yeah.
And yeah, I made him. I know this sounds like it's a story. I made him some soup yesterday, and really lovely soup. And I put it out in his bowl, and he had some. I said, "Is the soup okay?" And he said, "It's all right." I said, "Okay." He said, "It needs more salt." I said, "Okay." So he got a handful of salt and started putting salt. I said, "Oh, that's too much salt." "It's my soup. Mind your own business. I've had a restaurant and I know about how much salt I put in my soup." I know, okay. And then a few moments later, he said, "Is your soup salty?" And I say, "No." "Well, mine's very salty." I said, "Well, you did put salt in. And when I told you not to, you said, 'I'd run a restaurant, mind your own business.'" "I never said that. I've not put salt in this soup. It wasn't me. Someone's put salt. It wasn't me." I go, "Well, oh, okay." And then I gave him a taste from the pot that I cooked it in. I said, "Taste that." And he went, "Well, someone put salt. Maybe I put salt in it." So it's a bit like that the whole time. Anyway,
Must
I'm
be
sorry to tell you.
exhausting for you, eh?
It is fucking exhausting. I've got to watch myself because of my heart. And I've been doing a lot of healing and meditating, as I said. So I came here with energy. I've got to pace myself. And I have to come back here, and thank God I'm still meditating. Thank God I've got connections like you all of you. My children are really worried. I don't tell them exactly what it's like here. And I do feel very alone with this. Because I don't know. I can't. I don't know. I don't. French isn't brilliant, and I guess I'm going to have to try and get some help. But he won't have anybody in. He won't have a cleaner in. He won't have anything. Just me, just cleaning out little areas. I don't know what I'm going to do, and that's all right because who knows anything anyway. And thank God, I've been trained for this. I mean, I feel like, yeah, okay, yeah, and this as well.
Have you considered that you can meditate at the same time as you do stuff? You don't just have to sit in order to meditate.
Yeah.
So when next time you're sitting and meditating and you get into that really wonderful, peaceful, calm place, see if you can locate a sensation somewhere in the body that you can remember, right? And remember that sensation. And then when you get in that all that turmoil there with him, if you were to try and remember that sensation, you will be amazed that you can actually bring back that feeling that you had in the meditation right in the midst of him abusing you or in the midst of whatever's going on. That can happen.
Yeah.
And so my thoughts are that would be the best that you can do at the moment for yourself. That will keep your heart calm, and that's really important for you.
It
You
is
know,
important
I
for me.
guess you're still waiting for that bypass, eh?
Well, because I think I don't know if I mentioned it, but I've been having a lot of healing from this amazing woman called Eva, who does also, she meditates. I meditate with her quite a lot. And she's cleared a lot of stuff. I don't, she's, yeah. Anyway, she's helped me a lot.
Right,
My
right,
energy's,
yeah.
but when I went to have my last test, they said, it was the point of being like the point where you had to have a heart bypass, but because it's such a big operation, you've come back from that point, and
Okay, yeah.
I think it's not as crucial as it was.
Excellent.
So I got to go back an appointment in October. I mean, it all happened in England when I had my mini stroke, so that's why it's difficult to transfer all the notes to France. But there we are. Yeah. So I'm trying to look after this person here, and not use I, and just do all the things that help me.
Yeah. Well, you know them, but it's easy to forget them in the middle of the turmoil, isn't it?
I'm annoyed that I've shouted. I've been I've been shouting at him. There's a point when I'm getting better at being around him, but frustration is awful because he doesn't remember anything.
Yeah. Part of the frustration is trying to be a certain way, trying not to, and if it's appropriate to feel anger, feel anger. If it's appropriate to feel something, feel it. Don't worry about what it appears like. Expressing that stuff is, and there's an interesting word there, expressing, right? It's expressing. It's getting it out. That's valuable. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do what I did with Andre. That felt great. Being angry with him. Gee, that feels good. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I have got to be careful. I don't use too much energy on being angry with him.
Yes. Yeah, short, sharp bursts, but a full expression, and then let it finish. Let it. See, the thing is, my anger with him was gone almost as quick as it came. You know, it just.
Yeah.
You don't.
I
You
do
don't
find
hang
that.
on to it. Yeah.
No, yeah. I do find out. Before, I would have hung on to it. I would be brooding over it. I'd be walking around with it. And now it's like, how?
Yeah.
And then I
Oh,
notice there's
yeah.
like happiness. There's nothing there. It's like,
It's beautiful, isn't it? Yeah.
okay, there's nothing here. I mean, still I've got the problem. I got the problem of my heart. I got the problem of what to do about it, all this. What to do, what's happened with him. And also we have a friend who's been coming and taking him to hospital for appointments and taking to see the doctors. He's now he's on holiday, and he'll come back on the 15th, and he'll be a great help to me. But he took him for some tests, and he had he had to blow. You know, when you have lung tests, and you have to blow into stuff and all of that. And
yeah.
His capacity for his lungs is 97. And my friend was saying his lung capacity, and he's in his 70, but his lung capacity is 98, and mine's about the same. So his lung capacity is good, but he can't breathe. I don't quite understand. I don't know. And And apparently his heart is so strong. And my heart isn't strong. And that made me so pissed off. I thought, fuck it.
Yeah,
Outlive
yeah.
me. You're fucking annoying. You're fucking made a mess of my home or ours. And bloody hell. Pissed off. And that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
I just
thank you for listening.
I just wanted
Sorry?
to chime because of what Vince told about expressing anger. I think something that could sneak by is that altruistic identity of being okay with everything when, it's not, and you should have boundaries. And that's what Pernille talks about in the Doubt curriculum. And I know that could be very sneaky, that trauma of wanting to be okay with everything, but really, yeah, that's also
Yeah,
just
can
an
I be
idea.
in a body and be like this and feel these feelings, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep saying that to myself. Yeah. I think I understood what you said then. You mean what Penella says? I've not been listening to Penella for some time. So can I be in? So what you're saying? Can I be in this body and feel this complete utter pissed offness that he's got a stronger heart than I've got?
Yeah. And also about sometimes not being okay with his I don't know, Demanto, whatever this is, sometimes not being okay is like having boundaries.
No.
Because there could be trauma of wanting to be okay with the anger, with not being angry, and
Yeah. Don't get sucked into the stories that say how you should be. Be real.
Yeah. But also, I think what I'm also seeing is the fact that I'm a bit of a pushover, really, and I'm a bit of. A friend who brought me into France. And actually helped me clean up in here, and she's quite bossy, and he's bossy. And then the other day she said, "Well, what's your plan?" And I said, "Well, I haven't got a plan. I'm doing it moment by moment." And she said, "Well, you're just a ditherer. You're a ditherer. You have to get things done." And I thought, at first I thought, ooh, I don't think I want to be called a ditherer. And then I thought, oh, fuck it. What does it matter? So I'm a ditherer. I said, oh, yeah, perhaps I am. I'm a ditherer. Whatever that, yeah, I'm a ditherer. And then later on, I kept coming back to me. You were a ditherer. Oh, fucking hell, oh, shit, I'm a ditherer. And then I was thinking, well, I am a ditherer. I'm a pushover. I'm too soft. I'm too nice. Yeah, I don't know.
Just remove the word too.
Too. What?
Yeah, you're not too nice. You're nice. You're not too much a pushover. You're just a pushover. Just take away the judgment of it. If we are all of us everything.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we are all everything. But this woman, I'm thinking, look, I've been trained. I know I'm everything. I'm everything. Yeah. And you've not been trained like that. You think you're really brilliant. And I'm
yeah. So you got to watch when you start defending against things. That's something to watch. Yeah.
I'm so glad. I really wanted to jump in straight away because I'm so tired, and I kept thinking, oh God, I'm going to be exhausted tomorrow. Just butt in, and because I just wanted to share this. It's so horrible.
Yeah. Well, jump in next time. You did well. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Vince. And thank you, everybody. I might go quite soon, but are you all going to go soon?
Yeah, we are. Yeah. It's breakfast time here. Yeah.
Oh, you're going to have your poached eggs?
I am, yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you all.
Thank you. I wish I was there to help you clean up, but I'm not. And I'm glad I'm not,
So,
actually. Yeah.
so do I.
Mm.
Oh, I wish you were all here. I mean,
Yeah.
this is like a haunted house upstairs. I've made this little area. I can't show you all of it, but it's like, wow. Oh, I won't show you. It's just like nice walls, though. The walls are lovely. He's done the walls. He's actually started on this house, but yeah. Anyway, thank you all for listening. I've gone on.
Yvonne, I love what you shared. It totally touched me.
I can't see who's talking.
Oh, can you?
It's Phoebe, yeah.
I'm right
Oh,
here.
Phoebe,
I'm
I
waving.
see. I see you.
But it was so beautiful, and I have my mom's 99 years old, and she has dementia, and I know I know so much of what you're going through, but yeah. But it was just beautiful sharing. Thank you so much for letting us know where you are.
Thank you for being there, and thank you for receiving, and thank you. Oh, hell. Yeah. Thank you. And may it go well with your mum.
She's in a nursing home, so that's. But for 5 years, she lived with my brother, and I was a major caretaker, and it was.
Yeah. I was a caretaker for my mum, but she didn't have dementia. But yeah, it's hard. Yeah, it's hard work. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you all. And hello, Andre. And everybody.
Okay.
Are you off? Yes.
Hi, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for being
Bye bye.
Bye
bye.
Bye bye.
Night, everyone.
Andre.
Morning.
Good morning.
Night.
Good morning. And good
Night.
afternoon.
Yeah.